My name is Christina Romulus. I am the Director of Programs. I have the distinct pleasure to be your Mistress of Ceremonies tonight. And let's go ahead and clap it up. Go ahead. Woo! Can I just say how amazing it is to be in a place that allows us to see each other and feel each other? Is that okay? Can we just clap it up for that? It's been so long, and I am so happy to just finally be getting out and be in public and see your beautiful faces. People I've been talking to and emailing for months, years even. It's finally great to see you all in person. So I'm so excited, and this evening is just a culmination of all of our hard work. And this is our 4th annual EdFest. And without further ado, I want to bring up the person, the myth, the legend, who makes all of this possible, and it's all of her brainchild that has brought us to this place tonight. So I want to welcome our fearless leader, our champion of education, our fighter for justice and education. Did I do good? Okay. Miss Christine Sylvain, please.
Thank you, Christina. You can see why she's our Director of Programs. We're so happy to have you. Thank you all for being here. Welcome to EdFest 2021, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's such a pleasure to welcome you all. I have to say a few thanks, but I just want to say one thing about Education Fest. Education Fest is our yearly event where we have the opportunity to truly catapult and elevate the voices of amazing student leaders, thinkers, hard workers in our communities that so often go underrepresented or under-nurtured. And that is what Path to College is all about, is meeting those students where they are, providing resources, opening doors so they can reach their true potential. It's been an amazing year. It's been a tough year. We have actually doubled in size this year on top of all of our challenges, but it's been amazing. And what binds us together is this belief in the spirit of other human beings, in the connection between mentors, mentee, staff, partners, and community. So we get to elevate our student voices, but we also get to highlight the Education Champion of the Year, which is a true pleasure, because so often there are the heroes behind the scenes that do so much to help students who truly deserve it reach their potential and get the courses, the support systems, transportation, like little things you don't think about, but behind the scenes. So tonight we get to highlight one of those education champions. And I am not our speaker tonight, thank God, but we have an amazing speaker. His name is Alex Price. He has been one of our founders from one of our partners from the very beginning, working with us to partner on our mentoring program, giving our students supplies, showing up to so many different things. Our interview night, our Office Depot associates have been deeply connected to this work, and that is the type of forward-thinking, community-focused organization and business that we want to continue working with. And so I'm so pleased to have Alex here tonight because it's been such a pleasure continuing to partner year after year and doing so in so many different ways. And so I know that he's going to have some amazing comments for us and some uplifting thoughts. So without further ado, please help me welcome Alex Price.
I get the secret clip here. Christine, thank you so much. Let me just say one thing I know for sure, and that is there is nowhere else on earth that I would rather be than right here, right now. And I don't know about you, but I'm deeply curious about what brought each of you all here. I really would love to know your stories. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I'm going to assume that everybody in this tent, or that nobody in this tent got here casually, but that you are deeply, deeply passionate about this mission we are celebrating. I'm going to assume for a moment that everybody in this tent has had a moment in their life when their eyes were opened, when their hearts were opened. I want you to think for a minute, just kind of calm your mind and think for a minute and consider your entire life. Have you experienced a truly eye-opening moment? in your life where you knew at that moment there was just no going back? Life would be different from when that moment happened going forward. Have you? I have. It was 15 years ago for me, as a matter of fact. I was just a few years out of graduating from Florida State University. I'm a native Floridian. And someone was almost going to clap there. I could just feel it, but they didn't have the guts to do it. Yeah, I see back there. I was only a few years out of my undergraduate. My father drove me up to New York City to pursue my master's degree in the evenings while I worked in advertising agencies during the daytime, pursuing that dream. And I became motivated in part through the poverty that I would see during my daily commute, but also became extremely motivated in a much more deeply rooted way when my father suddenly passed away just months after dropping me off for graduate school. And I found myself in despair, desperately wanting at that moment to live a life of purpose, just knowing that there had to be something more. Well, I started pouring myself into nonprofit work, charity work, kind of out of desperation, trying to fill kind of that hurt and that emptiness. And over a couple years, it kind of became my thing. It kind of became my hobby. And what was interesting about that at that same time, what I was doing in my day job started to feel a little like it was missing something. Just to tell you the truth, I was producing TV commercials for deodorant at the time. And the Mach 3 razors with all those blades, that was the work I was doing. Not bad work, but ultimately not totally fulfilling. And so I made a big leap after about 2 years of doing that and feeling that emptiness, and I made a big leap into education. My story is that I knew somebody and I had a little bit of an in, and so I was able to get a job on Mayor Michael Bloomberg's education team, specifically for the New York City Fund for Public Schools. And my life instantly changed from a fancy kind of ad agency building on Madison Avenue to working at the Department of Education, spending 12 hours a day in the most economically depressed neighborhoods of New York City. And I felt the desperation in those neighborhoods. I felt the desperation of the statistics. 1.1 million students, a 38% graduation rate. Imagine those statistics, 1.1 million young people, and only 38% of them are going on to graduate from high school. For years, it was interesting. I kept noticing a recurring theme as I would go to this school, this middle school, this high school, this elementary school. There was a recurring theme that I kept hearing. At each stop along the way, someone would say, this person, this principal, this assistant principal, this teacher, or this guidance counselor, this person is the shining beacon in this neighborhood, the person that all guardians and parents and youth look to, the one person. There was always the one person. Sometimes it was a coach. It seemed like it was a little bit of an exaggeration, that one person could be the shining beacon. So I'd always want to meet that one person. And sure enough, I started realizing that this was the truth. These were heroes. These one person, which were so many people, were taking it all upon themselves. They were putting it all on their shoulders, and they were happy to lead, even if they were just that one person. So Mayor Bloomberg and the school's chancellor at the time had it was kind of a motivational statement that they would tell me and the team, which was really helpful. They say it, all the time, which was, education is the civil rights issue of our time, the potential to be the great equalizer. And that's been several years. That's been, well over a decade now for me. And of course, during that time, we've seen many critical civil rights issues rise up in our nation in that time, and they're all so important. But I still very much believe that equal opportunity to high-quality education is one of the civil rights issues of this time. And so today, we are all here under this tent, live and in person, smiling, looking at each other, celebrating that movement that continues today. I heard a woo. I like that. I can always count on Christine for a woo. So since those early years for me, when I was working in New York City public schools, till today, getting to lead Office Depot's philanthropic programs that we call the Depot Difference, I'm choosing still today to spend the majority of my days working on education because I am still convinced, in fact, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that education is the great equalizer. I feel like we're getting to know each other kind of well. Are you feeling the bond? I'm feeling it. The gentleman in the red shirt, he's giving me a little smile. I feel like I'm getting to know the crowd a little bit. And since I do feel like I'm getting to know you and get a little personal, don't get nervous. I'll bet that most of you here in this room, I'm not really going out on a limb to think that most of you in this room get excited about the idea of changing the world, leaving this place measurably better for the next generation. I sense some dreamers in this room. Gentleman in the red shirt, are you a dreamer? He tries to be. He is. I sense some big thinkers in this room. So I imagine when you think about change in the world, you are thinking big. Launching social movements, impacting policy, creating a game-changing organization like our friend Christine has, who, by the way, has serviced 750 students over the past year during the pandemic. And yes, put your hands together. And who 100% of their fellows over this tumultuous year, 100% are going on to a 4-year university. 100%. That doesn't just happen. That's leadership. Big things. I sense that in you. And I hope that it's true. But while pursuing the big vision is so very important, it's so often that we miss what is most important. And that is that the most profound way to change the world are in ways that are actually very, very small. And nowhere is that more true than empowering youth through education. The power of education is shared most tangibly in the micro, in the life on life, as I like to call it, in the one-on-one, what we would call mentoring, closing that one gap. I have a mentee, like so many of you here, who I've gotten close with during the pandemic. His name is Michael, and Michael is probably doing as much for me and opening my eyes as the other way around. But he shared a lot with me about just his feelings, desperate feelings of isolation and cut off from the community during the pandemic. And I don't know that I've done as much for him academically as I hope to eventually do, but I must say that I can sense how just showing up for somebody and being vulnerable has, in a time of real crisis for him, I can sense that that little thing has been a really big thing. And so the work that you're doing is life-changing. It is time well spent. It is the time best spent. So big changes can happen when we first start going small, or better said, big things can happen when you start to go deep, one-on-one. That's true for a lot of reasons. But the reason that fascinates me most is this, is that the entire trajectory, think about it, the entire trajectory of a young person's life can be completely altered in just a shift of mindset. And a shift of mindset is most effectively accomplished through one relationship. Imagine that. It just takes one high-quality relationship, an intentional relationship. And that's where the big mindset shift can happen. And this is the mindset shift. And I've just been thinking about this a lot. It's really simple, but to think about the kind of the contrast between these two things. And that is when a youth believes that their future is limitless versus a youth who believes that their future is greatly limited and stifled and suffocated by limitations. What's incredible about that is that the actual circumstances of the young person's life can maybe not yet have changed at all, but by affecting their perception of their future being limitless or limits being lifted changes everything. When a youth sees limitations, the world gets very small, and so do their expectations for themselves. I think about, again, going back to my early days working for New York City schools, one of the great contrasts that I've never forgotten was working with youth in the South Bronx and in Harlem, and they would live a mile, sometimes 2 miles away from the most powerful cultural and education institutions in the world. Think about it, the Met, the Museum of Natural History, all the Broadway theaters, Carnegie Hall, literally a mile. Not only had they not been there, but most of them didn't even know of these institutions' existence. Limitations. Wow. Here's the good news. We have the power to demolish those limitations. Me and you, and all of us here. We can not just level them or minimize them, we can demolish these limitations. And why not? We can demolish these limitations and allow their world to be every bit as big as they want it to be. Some of us here, I bet a few, and many of us out in the community, we've been blessed. Many of us have grown up into a home situation where college was assumed. It wasn't if, but it was where. It wasn't if, but it was what are you going to be majoring in? And what a fortunate situation. If from your earliest years you're hearing your parents or your guardians or your family members talking about, their years in college and saying it's a natural life progression that you're going to end up in college. If you know intimately that wonderful feeling of not knowing if you're going to succeed, but just being curious about what that's going to look like, you're extremely lucky. What a way to launch out into life. If that's your life experience, boy, that's nothing to feel guilty about. But if that's your life experience, that is something to get excited about sharing. How exciting to be able to share that wonderful opportunity to launch out into life with. And it can be shared through an organization like Path to College. That is something that can be shared with someone who wasn't born into that situation. And it's amazing. It's a beautiful thing. We have the privilege, and I will consider it a privilege, and I'm sure you would too, of supporting this amazing organization, Path to College, to enable that dream to become a reality for every youth, regardless of circumstance. There's a lot of variety in us, and there's a lot of variety in our youth, and there's a lot of variety in our community's underserved youth. Just think about it. The right brains, the left brains, those that are great working in a team, those that are logical and like data and want to work all by themselves. Think about all the different incredible God-given gifts that are instilled in every single one of our underserved youth. Think about them for a second as superpowers. And think about your own superpowers. I bet everyone here has 1, 2, or 3 just things that they do so naturally and add so much value to their organizations and their community in this world. I know that that's true, probably except for me, except for Christine has allowed me to share. The one thing that I do is I make good friends. That's the one thing. That's my superpower, I would say. If we don't seize this opportunity that we're all collectively bonded in right here, can you imagine what we will deprive our community of? Can you imagine that? The potential that will never be realized. My friends, we have to come together. We have to come together to bring about equal opportunity, because when opportunity is equal, potential is unleashed. When opportunity is equal, potential is unleashed. 10 times out of 10, you can take that to the bank. That's true for the individual, and that's true for the community at large. We have to make this opportunity equal, to unleash the possibilities in this next generation. And so, I believe that we all believe that every student deserves that opportunity. And we all know that education is the answer in providing that opportunity. We know these things to be true. So, the remaining question is, how? If the question is how, meaning how do we create that equal opportunity in education, the answer is a path. We have to all come together and create a path, a way forward for our youth, to visualize their future and to love what they see. We're fortunate here in Palm Beach County that we have an incredible pathway, this organization called Path to College. But the vision that they have, it's much bigger. The potential that they see is limitless. And so let's pledge something. Let's all metaphorically lock hands at this moment, and let's make a commitment to one another. Let's do all that we can to empower that vision, to create a bigger path, to create a wider path, and most importantly, to create a far more traveled path. Let's challenge ourselves right here and here. I know that Christine and this organization has a bold commitment or bold goal to recruit 45 mentors in this next season of their organization. If you're not mentoring, consider it. If you know amazing people, and I know you do, go have a conversation about that. They need generosity to see this come to fruition, this vision. If you can be more generous, I encourage you to do so. If you know people that have means, go have a coffee. We can do that now with them, encourage them to do so. I know there's a big fundraising campaign that's going to be kicking off soon, so there's no opportunity like now as we get looking forward to the next school year when youth are really going to need our support in this changing world. Finally, going back to one of the things I said at the beginning, I want you to once more stop and think and consider your whole life. Have you experienced a truly eye-opening moment where there was just no going back? You couldn't see the world differently after that moment. If you haven't already, or you're desperately in need of doing it again, you know what? I think today can be that moment for you. And when you hear these three amazing youth speak today, I know that this day will be that moment for all of us. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you so much. You can come up. Oh my goodness. What beautiful sentiments. I think you've really summed up what we're about, and I really appreciate that. I want to take a moment to get our presentation going again. I don't know what happened, but it's important that it's on. We're back. Oh. So, just a little. Okay. We're back. Thank you, Alex, again, for just digging in. Because as you said, that's what it takes to clear that path and to make it a well-traveled path. I also want to take this moment to acknowledge and to praise our students. This was a year that no one would have blamed them for giving up. This is a year that no one would have blamed them for putting off college. So can we get a round of applause for our students? I've never been more inspired by our students, and I can't wait later to tell you a bit about our Fellow of the Year and to talk more about our amazing speakers. So before I do that, though, like Alex said, and I'm sorry that was not when he was speaking, but like Alex said, it takes many hands digging in. And people give me a lot of credit for starting this organization, but I would not have gotten it to this point without the many people behind the scenes helping me, mentoring me, advising me, digging in, showing up, and just being totally in. And I'd also like to acknowledge our staff, because they work harder than anybody. It's very impressive how hard they work. So just a round of applause for our amazing team, our AmeriCorps coaches. Doubling in size during COVID is no easy task. And our number one value is connecting with students one-on-one. And so it takes a lot of time. So I'd also like to take a moment to thank the many people behind the scenes who have dug into this work on many levels, including our event sponsors and our regular funders. We have PNC, Office Depot, United Way of Palm Beach County, Lynch and Associates, and many more who have dug into this work. Many of our partners and our vendors, they volunteer in many different ways outside of just funding. Hedrick Brothers is another one, SoFlo Tutors, Ken Maureen Wines, who will be serving wines tonight. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge our many different partners in this community who do so much. And I also want to give you all oh yes, thank you. Always ready for a clap. I also want to encourage you all to use our virtual photo booth. It's always nice to look back at pictures and remember who was there. I also want to remind you all that we're doing a raffle. And so one of our in-person attendees will win a big screen TV today. Thank you to ETC Simplify. So that's pretty exciting. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Christina back up, our Director of Programs, and she will be introducing our students. And I forgot one more thing, to thank our Outreach Committee. We have an amazing number of committees of passionate people who dig into the work and who show up and make events like this possible. So I want to give a special shout out to our outreach team. That's Ross Capodanno, Levine E. Banks, Kimberly Newsom, Desiree Aftatal, although she wouldn't put herself on there, but she did so much. I have to shout her out. Bill Marinette, Kristen Aiello, and am I missing anybody? Sandy Coto, Jessica Hall, Brad Sylvain. Thank you so much for showing up and making this event possible. I appreciate you. And we also have to take a moment to thank our Ed Talk Selection Committee, who poured over many, many submissions of our amazing students and scored them and made sure this process was as fair as possible. So thank you again. Now, Christina, thank you.
Okay, so now I have the pleasure to introduce our students for the moment you all have been waiting for. And just to, before we kind of go into that, I just want to give, take this opportunity to talk about this program, this academic fellowship that you are all witnessing and you're all going to see in action tonight. Our students come to us usually in their sophomore year, and this is a time where they are growing. We call it the PTC Glow Up, where we see them just grow and glow and just become such amazing versions of themselves. And our Ed Talks tonight is one of the ways that they actually get to do that, by uplifting their voices and placing them on a platform to speak up and talk about the things that they're passionate about and share that with you and share that with the world. We know that we are simply opening doors for them to be able to do that on a bigger and better scale. So tonight, I have the pleasure to open up the floor. While they're speaking, I want to ask you to take notes, mental notes, physical notes if you'd like as well, if you're one of those nerds like me. Okay, it's okay. Go ahead and take notes. And you can vote for the student that you feel makes the best Ed Talk tonight at bit.ly/PTCVote21. That's where you would be voting for them. So as they speak, just take notes, see who you like the most, and then you can vote. So that being said, our first speaker, our first Ed Talk nominee of the evening, chosen by our selection committee, will be Miss Ariel.
Okay. Hi, my name is Ariel Juki, and I'd like to bring your attention to something very important in our healthcare system. Please take a moment with me to imagine waking up and living each day of your life with unknown, intense body pains, starting from your legs, spreading up your back, all the way to your jaw and cheeks. That doesn't sound too good now, does it? Yet Angel Parker, a 23-year-old woman in Nevada, experienced this pain and more for 9 years without a diagnosis. Finally, through genetic testing, she was diagnosed with CPT2, a rare genetic disorder that prevents the body from using certain fats for energy, and causing muscle breakdown. Luckily, Angel's condition is treatable with a change in diet and lifestyle. But 9 years of her life was spent in pain and confusion when she could have received a genetic test from the start to rule out any signs of underlying conditions. This genetic test did not only prove that Angel has CPT2, but that she received the rare genetic condition from both her parents as they were unaffected carriers. In my experience, there's a standard protocol taking place in each medical visit. Let's say you're visiting a new doctor. Before seeing the doctor, you would typically fill out a bunch of forms. One of them is a family medical history questionnaire. A consultation typically lasts about 20 minutes, and within those 20 minutes, you must articulate your reason for visit and answer all the questions thrown at you the best that you can. As a patient, I'm aware how hard it can be to express the type of pain you're having, or just to set the nerves of seeing a doctor at bay. Despite the limited time, there's limited information shared between healthcare providers and the patients. Whatever your responses were to the doctor, will most definitely affect the trajectory of your care. Oh, and remember that family questionnaire you filled out? Did the doctor ever ask you anything regarding the health of your parents or grandparents? More than likely, the answer will be no. Our genetics play a huge role in who we are today and how we interact with our environment. This, of course, includes our health, as many conditions can be hereditary. Millions of people across the world are affected by a genetic disorder. Yet oftentimes than not, our genetics and family history are not being taken into account when we are seeking medical help. The quality care we deserve is not being met. And I believe that there's a huge gap between the present care that's being taking place now to achieve this. Doctors are only observing the surface level care and are not observing the bigger picture. Closing this gap starts with considering taking a look at our genetics and family history. By examining the genetic makeup of a child at birth, parents and healthcare providers may be able to provide care as deemed necessary. The genetic test will rule out any signs of underlying conditions, health risks, and serve as early detection and intervention. The sooner you identify an issue, the sooner you could render accurate help, resources, and aid to minimize the negative effects on a child. Genetic testing should then be continuous in a person's life throughout the different stages we all encounter. Examples of these stages include infancy, adolescence, adulthood, and senior adulthood. During these stages, our genetic makeup is subjected to changes, just like the rest of our body. So it's important to keep an eye out for any changes just in case there's a mutation. Having the extended knowledge of our genetic makeup would not only serve as patient awareness, but as preventative and proactive care. This may be beneficial for those who are who are planning on starting a family and would want to avoiding transmitting any dangerous genes to their child. For example, if Angel's parents were more aware of that they were each carriers of the CPT2 disease, then Angel would have been able to achieve medical relief sooner. Genetic testing also encourages individuals to alter their lifestyle to avoid illnesses that they are at risk for. Genetic testing on the different age groups may be able to act as a lending hand to medical providers to gauge a deeper understanding of patient health and provide effective treatments. Far too often, people are facing medical uncertainties and are not receiving the care nor medical knowledge they need. Far too often, cases are being overlooked. Far too often, patients lack needed treatment, leading to damage beyond repair. With genetic testing being a common practice, many issues regarding our health may be avoided along with patient awareness. I mean, if you have the opportunity, wouldn't you like to know more about your health? Wouldn't you want to be more aware of any potential risk, not only for yourself, but for your loved ones as well? Thank you.
It's so good.
Get it, girl. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So, that being said, I am going to welcome our next speaker, Miss Aisha.
Hello everyone, my name is Aisha Siddiqa, and today I would like to ask you a question. How sure are you that your young daughter, sister, friend, mentee, or any other minor in your life currently is not being groomed for the sex industry? Now, that sounds like a ridiculous question at first, but this is very common in today's society. The truth is, in today's society, on most social media sites, young girls are being manipulated and lured into the sex industry through popular content creators and internet trends. This is heavily prominent on the site TikTok. TikTok initially started as a children's music app and became very popular amongst Gen Z. On TikTok, sneaky tactics are used in which young girls and even children under the age of 12 are encouraged to show off their bodies for trends. This is often done under the disguise of empowerment, where young girls are told that they should feel confident. As we know, adolescents will go to great lengths to receive validation from strangers on the internet, and this eventually leads to the glamorization of soft porn. A perfect example of how social media starts desensitizing the sex industry to teens is the Silhouette Challenge. This challenge consists of a video transition from a fully clothed individual to a nude person standing in red light with only their shadow showing. Of course, photo and video editing tools allowed pedophiles on the internet to remove the filter and see the unfiltered naked body, subjecting these young girls to be victims of child pornography. Still, we should remember that these adolescent girls are victims and their brains still do not have the logical reasoning capabilities as adults have. Another way children are being groomed for the sex industry is through the promotion of OnlyFans. This site is predominantly used by sex workers to sell X-rated content. Children are often told that they can be sugar babies to men with money on this site. A sugar baby is an embellished term for the word prostitute. This fact, however, is not disclosed to adolescents, and it tricks them into thinking they are just selling inappropriate videos on the internet for easy money. The top influencers on OnlyFans, however, are all celebrities. These young girls are manipulated into thinking that they can make the same amount of money as these top influencers. Because OnlyFans requires payments, girls are told that this is a safe way to earn money fast. Now, most of you may think that this is obviously problematic and these girls should know better, but let's look at how the brain works in a minor. The amygdala is part of the brain that deals with aggressive behavior and immediate reactions. This develops early on in humans. The frontal cortex of the brain deals with logic and reasoning, and this develops later on for humans. This essentially means that teens are not logically capable of thinking through danger that is presented to them. Pedophilic predators, however, have already started influencing children's perspectives. These comments are made by minors under a video of a sex worker showing her earnings. Minors say that they don't understand the point of school if they can earn money fast through sex work. There's a great chance minors in your life think similarly. Remember, it's not normal for children to be numb to sex promotion. So, what can be done to help these children? To start, preventative measures can be taken by educating adolescents about the dangers of posting provocative materials of themselves online. We can also capture predators through the Child Rescue Coalition. This organization is committed to hunting predators online, and it has already prevented 600,000 cases, and it has also caught 13,000 predators online. This coalition is a 501c3 nonprofit charity, and to make a direct impact, you can make donations. All proceeds go to hunting and capturing internet predators, including pedophilic sex industry recruiters. Thank you everyone for listening.
Parents, I bet you did not think you were going to be coming here for a lesson on how to raise your kids, but you're welcome. You're welcome. Aisha, great job, great job. Next, we have our next speaker, Ms. Chimdindu.
Hello, my name is Chimdindu GDK, and my topic for this EdFest presentation is Black Beauty, Black Pain, the Dangers of Mimicking Whiteness. In our society today, feeling beautiful and being perceived as beautiful are very important. Are highly desired. This desire, though, is hard to achieve when opposing forces take all the features you were born with and characterize them as unsatisfactory in the standards of beauty. These opposing forces are European beauty standards. The European beauty standard is the notion that the more closely associated a person is with European features, the more attractive he or she is considered. These standards deem attributes that are most closely related to whiteness, such as lighter skin, straight hair, a thin nose and lips, and light-colored eyes, as beautiful. These standards essentially go to say that Black women are not beautiful. It says that these women presented on the screen now are in some way ugly. Now, I may be crazy, but looking at these women on the screen now, all I see is beauty. How can someone look at these women? How can someone look at these women and their wide-bridged noses and their melanated skin, or their big luscious lips, or their kinks that curl like the roots standing from an oak tree, and deem them unworthy? All these features that are present in myself and in millions of other Black women, are warped into traits that are characterized as undesirable. This goes on to present itself in our society today. This image to the left of the screen is taken from a beauty supply store around where I live. This section of the store had shelves packed with skin bleaching and lightening products. As I looked at these products, I was filled with pure rage and disgust. It took everything inside of me not to knock the boxes off from the shelf. And then to the right of the screen is an image I and other Black women are probably all too familiar with. The smell of the perm, I can smell the smell of the perm through the screen. The harsh smell and sensation of the chemicals burning through my hair clouds my senses. These two products are marketed to Black women as a fix to the problem of their dark skin and kinky hair. The issue in this, though, are these things are not a problem that require a solution. Black women are deceived into believing it is, though, and in this deception, they are laid subject to harmful effects such as this: perm burns, sore on the scalp, follicle inflammation, thinning and breakage. All of these are effects of relaxers. Then don't even get me started on the effects that skin bleaching can cause: mercury poisoning, dermatitis, redness and swelling, itchy and flaky skin. When Beyonce said that pretty hurts, I never imagined that it would be this much pain. When she said that perfection is a disease of a nation, I did not realize that my people were getting this sick. Did you know that the global hair relaxer market is expected to be worth $967 million by 2023? $967 million. $967 million. All of this money going into the market for what? Black is already beautiful. Black women are beautiful. I am beautiful. And no amount of chemical lightening or hair relaxation will increase these levels of beauty. Along with the psychological effects European beauty standards have on Black women, there are also, along with the physical effects European beauty standards have on Black women, there are also psychological ones. This image here is a perfect example of the dilemma that Black women face. There's been countless of times where I've stared into a mirror and I've struggled to find beauty in what I saw. I compared all my features to that of a white woman. I prayed to God with tears streaming down my face to make me beautiful. I wanted the straight, silky hair, the beautiful blue eyes, a nose of a smaller size. I had been convinced that these things equaled beauty. This kind of internalized self-hatred happens to so many Black women, and it results in a very low self-esteem, lack of confidence, and even depression. For so long, Black women have been pushed and prodded to become something they are not. They have been fooled into believing that conforming to European beauty standards is essential, and that without changing their God-given features, their true beauty would never be recognized. This, however, is false, and I would like to reinforce the fact that Black women are beautiful. Relaxers and skin bleaching are not necessary. We are crafted to perfection, and the only standard we need to be worried about reaching is complete self-love. Thank you. Oh, are you okay?
No words necessary after that. My work here is done. Thank you. Thank you, Tim Dindu. Okay. No, I'm not done. Okay. We have our next speaker who is coming up, Miss Daphne. Please take the mic.
Imagine you're at the mall. You enter H&M. You see the widespread clothing options available to you. You may widen your eyes, your mouth slightly open because of your pleasure center of your brain lightening up. It is a shopping high and a feeling of happiness, or a dopamine rush. But when at the mall, when at H&M, many may not be aware of the methods of how they're making their clothing. H&M has a method of manufacturing called fast fashion. So what is fast fashion? Fast fashion is a method of manufacturing and marketing focused on rapidly producing high volumes of clothing. Fast fashion is usually seen as trendy, cheap, quick, and disposable. A few brands that have this method of manufacturing of clothing are Shein, Forever 21, H&M, and Nike. The industry of fast fashion has another similarity. They all have two main problems, the two E's. The first E is environmental. The World Resource Institute estimates that the fast fashion industry annually releases about 1.2 billion tons of carbon dioxide. Furthermore, the fast fashion industry has not only contributed to global warming, but the fast fashion industry uses toxic chemicals, synthetic fabrics, and large amounts of water that could be used for drinking purposes. As stated before, fast fashion is usually seen as disposable. As a result, according to True Costs, 11 million tons of clothing is thrown out in the US alone. The toxic chemicals found in the clothing and fabrics are left in landfills, continuing to release toxins in the air. The second E is ethical. It is closely related to environmental because of the toxic chemicals found in the clothing. According to the Environmental Health Journal, conventional textiles often release heavy metals and other toxins that can adversarially impact the health of animals in addition to the nearby residents into local water systems. These rivers that you are seeing are a result of toxic clothing. These rivers harm the people living near the area and those who rely on the river. Moreover, what is happening in the factories where they're making the fast fashion clothing? According to the United Nations Children's Fund, 170 million children are employed in the garment industry. To quote, hands that should be holding books and pens are toiling 12 hours a day, sewing, stitching, and dyeing garments to satisfy global consumer demand for fast fashion. Children, women, all of the fast fashion factory workers are manufacturing the clothing that you may be wearing right now. With these two problems in mind, of environmental and ethical, comes a few solutions that you yourself can do right now. What are the solutions that you can start with? Number one, start wearing your clothing for longer. Elizabeth L. Klein, author of Overdressed, The Shockingly High Cost of Fast Fashion, states, just by wearing your clothes for 9 months longer can reduce your carbon footprint for that product by 30%. Number two, shop secondary. You can find great finds and even get discounts depending on the thrift stores you go to. The red bags seen in this presentation have discounts such as American Thrift Store, Red Balloon, Plato's Closet, and World Thrift. Although the orange bags do not have discounts, they are still affordable. We cannot forget that we are still in a global pandemic, of course. So you can even shop online on an online thrift store, such as ThredUp, Depop, Etsy, and Swap.com. They are affordable and you are able to buy responsibly while being at home. A third solution is spreading awareness. Tell others about this issue, your family, your friends, your coworkers, whoever, to get the word out, so you wouldn't only be changing your lifestyle, but others as well. Although these are only a few solutions to fast fashion, they are a great starting point to help. To keep our environment clean and beautiful, to help the workers in the factories, to go from Shein fast fashion hauls to thrift store hauls, we must commit and start change.
I think we have some thrift shop, yes. I heard some people partying in the back when she said thrift shops. Woohoo! Take me with you. Great job, Daphne. And last but not least, we have Mr. Mohammed. Mohammed, take the stage.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mohammed Uddin. Animals with extra limbs and orifices, people with scars, mutilations, and haunting memories. Once prosperous cities wiped off the map with nothing left of them but debris. Does any of this ring a bell to you? If you've been awake for any part of the last 70 years, it should. These harrowing images show the potentially disastrous effects of nuclear technology and have permeated in the public consciousness because of their use by artists in movies, TV, and more. Unfortunately, as a result of these artistic depictions and more, a culture of fear has developed around nuclear technology, specifically nuclear energy. Despite the fear, nuclear energy is quite the opposite of a destructive tool. In fact, it may be the key to combating many of the problems plaguing us today and opening the door to a brighter world. After hearing a bold statement like that, a collective thought is probably forming. What's so great about nuclear energy? The answer, lots. The benefits of nuclear energy are innumerable. However, the most attractive offering of nuclear energy are its environmental benefits. Before delving into nuclear energy's benefits, it's important to establish some context. Climate change is one of the most pressing issues of our day, but how exactly are our current methods of electricity generation causing it? Well, the main issue around climate change is greenhouse gas emissions. When power stations generate power, many also emit gases into the air, the most notable of which is carbon dioxide. When these gases, dubbed greenhouse gases, are emitted, they collect in the atmosphere, causing the greenhouse effect, where energy from the sun is not reflected back into space where it should be, but instead trapped by the gases. These gases warm the Earth and cause irrevocable climate change, damaging habitats and leading to natural disasters. Therefore, whichever viable power source can produce the least greenhouse gases is also the best power source. Thank you. Coal, a fossil fuel that's also the most common energy source for electricity generation in the world, is also the worst possible choice from an environmental angle. Per the graph, we can see that for every kilowatt hour of energy, electricity being produced by bituminous coal, the most popular variety, 820 grams of carbon dioxide are emitted. That means the average U.S. household emits around 8,700 kilograms or 19,200 pounds per year. That's 6 sedans. The amount of carbon dioxide entering our atmosphere from coal plants in the U.S. alone exceeds trillions of pounds. Clearly, something needs to be done. Now that we have an understanding of how our current methods of using fossil fuels are unsuitable for the environment, how can nuclear power do better? Well, if you take a look at the graph on screen, it's pretty easy to spot how much better nuclear power is. At the tail end of the graph, almost completely opposite from coal and fossil fuels, is nuclear power. 12 grams of carbon dioxide per kilowatt hour of electricity it generated. That's 68 times less than coal. 68 times less carbon dioxide gathering in the atmosphere and warming our planet. Now 68 times less coal is great, but that's still a lot of carbon dioxide entering the atmosphere. The bright side is that nuclear power itself produces no carbon dioxide or any other greenhouse gases. That's right, nuclear power produces nothing. Nuclear energy's already minuscule carbon emissions come mostly from the process of developing the large complexes and machinery required to run the plants. But as we begin to implement nuclear power, we can use it to power the process of creating and running these stations, offsetting much of the emissions and creating a sustainable cycle. Despite the benefits of nuclear power, there are many who oppose it. Unsurprisingly, most of these people directly benefit from nuclear power staying off the shelf. Who are they? They're the owners of some of the largest fossil fuel companies in the world, coal, oil, and gas giants. They profit from the damage they cause to the environment. Nuclear power threatens them, so they seek to stop it, motivated by greed. A popular tactic used is to highlight the rare cases where nuclear power has spectacularly failed. Most of us have probably heard of these events. They've been etched into our minds with endless media coverage. 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, Fukushima. These 3 events have changed public opinions on nuclear power forever. They present nuclear power as a ticking time bomb, but it's not. All these events concern decades-old nuclear reactors. Technology has progressed greatly since then for both nuclear reactors and the systems operating them. The danger they've inspired in many people is, quite literally, impossible. Nuclear energy is both safe and beneficial. After examining the effects of nuclear energy, there's definitely an environmental case for nuclear energy to be utilized. The question is, how can we, sitting here today, help? It starts with communication. Studies show that most people opposed to nuclear power are quick to change their minds when they learn about nuclear power. Education can help us combat much of the hysteria around nuclear power. Next, we have to take serious measures. Vote for policies and politicians who support nuclear energy and the science behind it. Lastly, we need to make sure nuclear energy gets the funding it needs. No one likes taxes, but in the long run, funding them means stopping further climate change and destruction, which, in Florida, as we're sinking, is probably a good idea. To save our planet from the effects of climate change, it's necessary that we let go of our fear and start embracing nuclear power. Thank you for listening.
Boom. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. Man, whew. Listen, I'm just glad that I'm not in your shoes right now and y'all have to go vote for these 5 speakers. All I know is, whoo. So, ladies and gentlemen, students, those of you who are watching us online, please make sure you go to bit.ly/PTC-vote21 right now to go ahead and cast your votes. So to remind you, our speakers again were Ariel. Do it now, do it now, do it now. Yes, yes, I told you guys in advance. I said pay attention, take notes. Okay, the ball's in your court now, ladies and gentlemen. So our speakers again, our speaker number 1 was Ariel D. Then we had Miss Aisha. Then we had Chimdindu. Then we had Daphne. And then we had Mohammed. So our 5 speakers are who you'll be selecting one of them to be our best Ed Talk champion tonight. So choose all 5. You cannot choose all 5. I know, I'm telling you, it's tough. Better you than me. Whew, I'm just glad I get to be behind the scenes here. So bit.ly/PTC-vote21. Link is right up there. You can go ahead and go there and check it out. And students, you can vote. If you're watching us online, you can vote. And ladies and gentlemen in the audience, you can vote. So while you guys are selecting your best Ed Talk of the night, I do want to take this moment to talk about one of our amazing programs within Path to College, which is our Path Internship program. So we have amazing partners throughout the county and across the nation as well who partner with us to allow our students to have firsthand exposure and opportunities to see what the workforce looks like even before they ever go to college by doing internships within their organizations. Some of these internships are done in person, other internships are done virtually, and we do them we make them really flexible so that the employer doesn't feel too burdened by having a student in their workspace, but the student as well gets the opportunity to really learn and be exposed to their potential career opportunities. So we have tonight some of our students who've taken advantage of this program, our Path Internships, and we have one of our partners, which is the FAU Student Science the FAU Research Center, I'm sorry. And 3 of our students who are here this evening will come and speak about their experience doing their internship this past semester. So we have Miss Ariel, you'll hear from her again, Miss McKenna, and Miss Merlene. Are you ladies here? So our FAU Science Scholars Program, led by Dr. DeBouillet, is here as well tonight. Thank you, Dr. DeBouillet, for all your work. If you could stand up, please, first to give you a round of applause. Thank you for your partnership and for your support. Ladies, take it away.
Good evening again. My name is Ariel Duki.
My name is McKenna Pierre-Louis.
And I'm Merlene Semplis.
Oh, it's not working. Oh. Hello again. Is it working? Is it working?
You just have to speak right into it. Try it now. Okay.
Hello. My name is Ariel Duki.
My name is McKenna Pierre-Louis.
And I'm Merlene Semplis.
And today we're here to discuss the findings of our research project we conducted alongside FAU this year. Our research project consisted of assessing the stress levels of the Astyanax mexicanus fish and how this coincides with human evolution and the way we respond to changes in our environment. Can you switch sides? Okay. As we all know, stress is experienced by all living things. Whether this is good stress or bad stress, we've all experienced it. However, as common as stress may be, we actually know very little about it. And with extensive research, we can help those with stress-related illnesses, such as anxiety disorders, and prevent stress-caused conditions, such as heart disease and accelerated aging. We believe fish serves as a great model to gauge the evolution of stress in humans. I know, sounds odd. Over time, stress has become a predominant factor in our daily lives due to changes in our environment, such as the advancement in technology. We have been putting our bodies through a lot more stress than it was initially made to do. And likewise to fish, their environment is constantly changing as it consists of unstable factors, meaning that their bodies are constantly under similar stress.
So what are cavefish? Cavefish, they're a type of fish that have been trapped in a cave for over 1,000,000 years, and through that they've undergone some serious changes. Now if we look at the picture in the bottom right corner, we'll see the new variation of cavefish above the older generation. And with the changing of their environment, they've had to adapt. And the new variation, they're now transparent. They've lost their eyesight. They're fatter due to the slower metabolism, and their other senses have gotten stronger following their loss of vision. Now, despite looking and behaving very differently, these fish are still the same species. Now, why are cavefish, scientific name Astyanax mexicanus, a good model system? Well, they have an amazing ability to adjust to different habitats. They're small and easy to work with, so they can be raised in a laboratory, and their anatomy and physiology is comparable to that of humans, so that the research and evidence found about these fish would be relevant to our own species.
The observational method that we use is called the thigmotaxis, and that we use that method to assess the stress levels of the tested fishes. And a simple way to understand this process is by simply imagining yourself in a stress environment. Would you put yourself in the middle where the stressor is, or would you distance yourself from it? Likewise, from these fishes, we were able to assess their stress levels. Despite the differences that were previously stated, there was a minor difference in terms of time where the fish is spent in the middle of the petri dish.
We have concluded that there are no notable differences between the cave and surface fish, as their stress levels appear to be similar. Our data suggests adaptations to the cave environment do not impact stress biology. It is important to say we only studied baseline levels of stress, meaning that the fish were not challenged by any stressor. We were unable to study in a lab due to code restrictions and had calculated the data manually by following the fish movements with our eyes and computer mouse. So our data is subjected to human error. In the future, we do plan on taking variables such as population, temperature, and food into account.
We also would suggest to add other control variables to further strengthen the accuracy of your data.
In the future, we'll also hope to perform our tests in a larger group of fish rather than one-on-one to gain a more accurate reading. And we'll like to utilize a lab because we're not able to do so regarding complications of the pandemic.
We had a lot of help facilitating this project, and we'd like to thank Bernie, Janet Toole, Eric, Christine, and Pat to College for all their help in providing us with such an incredible experience. Thank you.
So this is just one of the products of one of these internship partnerships that we've done. And as you can see, for every internship that we do, we have our students present a project at the end, because we don't just want them to be there and be pushing paperwork. That's not what our internships are about. We want them to actually learn and to have something that comes as a result of them being there for that time with that employer or with that organization. So if you are a business owner, this is my shameless plug right now. If you are a business owner and you would like to invest in the future, you would like to help bring up the next generation of the workforce, please talk to me, the Director of Programs, and I will be more than happy to pair you with one of our amazing, bright, and brilliant students. So that being said, we do also want to thank another one of our partners, which is Big Future Learning. They're one of our partners within our internship program, and we do have one of our students who has done an amazing internship with them. He actually had the opportunity to present to their board out in California. That's how amazing our students have been doing. Go ahead, clap, 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 clap. So if you weren't impressed by Path to College before, so now I want to go ahead and pass the mic over to Miss Christine again, who will now present our awards of the evening. Thank you all so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Christina. So make sure This is all ready. Can you guys just indulge me for a second? We have an amazing digital photo booth, and I would love to just do a selfie with the crowd. Sometimes you just got to take a moment, you know, just for fun. Okay, so I hope everyone has their raffle tickets ready. Also, can we just get another round of applause for all of the students? Holy moly. Are you guys impressed? Are you impressed? Every year they blow it out of the water, and it's such a joy to witness every year. Okay, so TV, here we come. Get your raffle tickets out. I want to thank again ETC Simplify for donating this TV tonight. And our winner is 0249412. 02. All right, McKenna! Yes! 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 McKenna. Good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's your TV.
Thank you.
Right there. Thank you, Bill. We're so happy. We love giving our students stuff. I would have been fine if anybody else won it, but I love that it was a student. So now, before we get to the best ed talk of the night, every year we award our Mentor of the Year. So mentoring is a very nuanced and significant way to serve in your community. It requires consistency, it requires a big heart, but most of all, it requires that you care about another, that you show up for another. There's no special degrees that you need to have. There's no special, we do train our mentors, but there's no really in-depth special training that you need. But mentoring is truly, I believe this so emphatically, it is truly the answer to some of the issues plaguing our society. Connecting with another being, teaching each other, accepting and loving each other is at the heart of education. From the moment we're born, our parents are teaching us through love, right? And that just keeps growing exponentially out in our community. So the stronger village we have with the strongest mentors in the world, if we all think of ourselves as mentors, as teachers, and take that responsibility, we will improve, just absolutely improve. So with that, I'd like to announce our Mentor of the Year, Jamie Levine, who Jamie has been a mentor with us for 3 years. We are one of the longest term mentoring programs out there because we believe in long-term developmental relationships, and so does the data, by the way. So Jamie has showed up consistently, without fail, despite things going on in her own life, has consistently shown up for her student, and that's all that it takes. She comes with a full heart, and she's gone above and beyond to now be an ambassador for our mission, constantly trying to connect, constantly trying to bring in other mentors, and that's truly what it takes, right? It takes many hands and ripples of positive impact. So I'm proud and happy to award Jamie with Mentor of the Year and to send her to one of our favorite restaurants, Cholo Soy, with a gift card. So come on up, Jamie. Congratulations. Thank you so Appreciate much. You being a part of this so much. You want to say a few words? Sorry, I have to put this on you. Please. This is for the people watching at home.
You guys are thanking me, but I want to thank Christine because this program has enriched my life so much. Just like Alex said earlier, you know, being a mentor it's both, you know, it's a privilege and an honor. And so I feel like, you know, Taina has enriched my life just as much as I have enriched hers. And I encourage anybody who's even remotely thinking about being a mentor to do it. I'll support you, I'll help you if you are hesitant, but it's been one of the most rewarding experiences in my life, and I'm so proud of our students. Great job, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Again, we couldn't do it without our many volunteers in the community. It's a movement. That's why we call it a fellowship. Next, I have the pleasure of telling you all about our Fellow of the Year, Charlie Alexis. Charlie can't be here tonight. Charlie's at work. And now you know a little bit more why he might be Fellow of the Year. Charlie is one of the hardest working students I've ever worked with. He came into our program 3 years ago, like many, shy, unsure, but told me he wanted to be an astronaut. I said, Charlie, I'm gonna do everything I can to help you fulfill that dream. Charlie has an incredible mentor, Bill, who you see in the photo. Bill has showed up for Charlie over and over again, never lacking, never leaving him without someone in his life. Charlie is also a provider in his household. He's a caretaker. He's worked multiple jobs. When COVID happened, he was working 3 jobs, including a night job. Charlie is one of those students who I worried about. I worried that he wouldn't go to college. I worried that he wouldn't graduate. And he did. And it's because he kept showing up. He believed in himself. Yep. One more thing about Charlie that I want to say. I wish he was here. He's heard me say this already because we already awarded him in person at our senior send-off. But Charlie has a true north. He makes good choices. He puts others in front of him. He is a wonderful young man, and he has a bright future ahead of him. And I'm so proud to tell you all that Charlie's going to be going to college to study aeronautic engineering at Lynn University. That is only one of the schools that he got into, FSU as well, which we know is highly competitive. With scholarships. I just can't. Charlie is one of those students who listened to me every time I gave him a piece of advice. Not every student does, but he was one of those. And trusting me and having him listen when I say, Charlie, I know that you're working at this fast food chain, and I know that you need to help your family, but studying for SAT and doing these scholarship applications is going to pay dividends. So think about your return on investment, and he did, and he actually stopped working for a little while so that he could get scholarship applications in. So that's what we want to see, that long-term thinking, that investment. Anyway, we love Charlie. Let's give him a round of applause. The video's not working. That's sad for me. Anyway, that was a video of Charlie accepting his award, and it was just really uplifting and phenomenal. We'll put it on our Instagram, and it's on YouTube, but we'll put it up later. Sorry. Okay, so with that, I'm going to bring Alex Price back up to award our education champion.
Thank you, Christine. Boy, tonight's been inspiring, but also very thought-provoking, hasn't it? I feel like I'm just going to walk away with just a lot to ponder and really... Just one more round of applause for these students. Oh my gosh. I just felt... Voting was hard, wasn't it? Voting was really hard. In a good way, because they're all incredible. And speaking of incredible, each year Path to College names the Education Champion of the Year for service, advocacy, policy, and positive impact in the field of education for underserved youth in Palm Beach County. It takes many hands to help create equality of opportunity and equity of outcomes in our education system. And Path to College has those behind-the-scenes heroes that close gaps and provide resources to help students succeed all across the community. This year, it's my honor to present this award to Mark Howard, the Chief of Performance Accountability at the School District of Palm Beach County, the 11th largest school district in our nation with 191,000 students. I know. He's got a big job. And throughout his career, Mark has been the voice for students and champion of equity. He led the development of a disaggregated principals dashboard and other data tools to shine a light on student opportunity and performance gaps. The use of data visualization to illustrate specific disparities in access and opportunity in schools led to increased enrollment of Black and Hispanic students in advanced coursework in middle school and college preparatory classes in high school. That's Mark's work. In 2020, when all schools closed due to the COVID-19 global pandemic, Mark led the development of a public-facing dashboard and engaged community stakeholders to support a critical response using data to inform and align district and community efforts through the Digital Inclusion Initiative. The goal of the Digital Inclusion Initiative is to grant all students, regardless of zip code, access to reliable internet access in their homes and access to online learning and other educational opportunities. Deeply needed. Deeply needed. Imagine where we were 1 year ago. Oh my goodness. This resulted in nearly $1 million donated by the Palm Beach community through the Education Foundation, which specifically supported underserved communities and placed critically needed internet hotspots in the Glades, as well as supported a municipal Wi-Fi solution that will affect 25,000 students across 15 municipalities at no cost. Thank you, Mark. But we're not done. Mark says that the most powerful change that we can make to improve outcomes for under-resourced students is, quote, in a word, connection. Mark says, and I quote, as educators, ensuring that each student is connected to a caring adult to provide safety and nurture that student and their interests can be life-changing. He goes on to say, additionally, by realizing that all students reach their potential and had a connection, support, and opportunities, the economic impact on the community would soar as a result of that productivity and the full contributions of each individual. The Digital Inclusion Initiative is only as good as not the internet connection, but the human connection that leads to access to healthcare, finance, job opportunities to connect each family to the community. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in congratulating Mark on this incredible achievement.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I just want to say that I didn't come here expecting to learn. And I'm really was blown away by the level of professionalism and care that the students took to present their findings, their data, and see the passion come through. I've got so much that I'd like to say. One of the things that I want to say to the students is you now have the privilege of expectations. When people expect more of us, you're going to walk into a room, people are going to see you, see who you are, and expect more because they know that you're capable of more. And, we should be doing that every day in every classroom. My thing that I said in this narrative that I wrote is about connection. I find that to be so much of an imperative. I work with data. My job is very technical, and I can get lost in databases and all of the reports and those types of things. But I go back to my roots. For the first 15 years of my career, I was a teacher at Lake Worth High School. Yeah, go Lake Worth, go Trojans, right? And, teaching was the most difficult but the most rewarding job of my life. This past year had to have been the most difficult year on record to be a teacher. The challenges that teachers faced, and the reason it was incredibly difficult was because of the connection, right? When you're in a room with a student and you build a relationship and you're able to have the connection with the student, it makes all of the difference for the student, but I'm going to tell you, it makes all the difference for the teachers, right? The teacher gets something. It's a reciprocal relationship. But I had an experience early in my career. I was coaching wrestling at Lake Worth High School, had amazing kids, and there was this young man, David. He poured his heart and soul into everything he did, came to practice every day, never missed, did his homework, he was on the honor roll, all of these things. And he started having a problem with his back. And so, you know, the reason he was having problems with his back is because he was going home every night and sleeping on a floor, a concrete floor. And I thought, so many of our kids face so many incredible challenges that we never even hear about, like Charlie, right? Thank God that there are people that see him, Bill, and for the work that Path to College does to make sure that students like that get the support that they deserve, right? Get the nurturing, get the confidence, have the privilege of expectations, right? So if you find somebody that has high expectations for you, stay near that person, right? Stay near that person. Sometimes it's your parents. It's the most annoying thing, right? But they know that you're capable of so much more, right? As a community, 37 years in the school district, I couldn't be prouder to be an employee of the Palm Beach County school system. We've gone through our ups and downs and some challenging times right now, but I moved down here from Indiana in 1984, and I've never considered or wanted to work anywhere else except this school system. I believe in it. And the reason I believe in it is because of the people that I've met. And one of the things that happened when COVID happened and we were closing schools is it required us to see and work with each other, right, Seth? You know, there were so many amazing people in the community that wanted to help, that wanted to make sure that no student fell through the cracks, didn't have what they needed. They knew how important it was for education not to be interrupted, and people rushed into the breach. You know, like I said, I have a technical job, and people started lining up, wanted to donate $10, $15, $20, $30,000. I'm like, wait, I don't know what to do with any of that. You know, let's get the foundation involved and get some other people, right? But what I believe is this, and I'll close, is that, you know, we're putting this Wi-Fi network in, and it's great, right? Every student should have access to broadband at no cost, right? And it's got to be reliable, it's got to be fast, so that not only can you do your homework, do classes online, but our bigger vision is that every parent that wants to have the opportunity get connected to healthcare, telehealth in some way, right? A healthy family, right? That there's skill development and job opportunities, access to capital and entrepreneurship, finance, right, through mortgage applications and all of the like. And that can't happen simply by putting a signal up, right? It's going to take the Palm Beach community and each one of us and each one of you to find a lane where you can help and connect, right? I think that's so powerful. And I'm really, really grateful that you're recognizing me tonight. I'm going to take this privilege of expectation and try to be equally involved in the community. I'm retiring from the school district in June, but I'm staying here in Palm Beach and look forward to working with a lot of you more closely. Thanks. Thank you. I appreciate it. I've got a mic on me.
Yeah, just right away. Woo! Privilege of expectation. The first time he said that, I said, I'm stealing that. Write it down. Privilege of expectation. I have very high expectations of all students. When I first started teaching, it was one of the things my early students thought I was crazy for. Miss Sylvain, we can't do this, but, yes you can. And you will, and they do, as you see. So thank you, Mark. We appreciate you. Now it's time to award the best Ed Talk of the year. I wish I could give every single student an award because they all deserve it, especially after this year. The stuff that we heard from our students, the demoralization, the depression, the isolation, it was a tough year. And I have to just, again, acknowledge all the Ed Talk participants who did this project during the school year. We've never done that before. We'll never do that again. COVID. Anyway, so it was a harrowing feat to do a project like this amidst many other responsibilities, and they all deserve some praise. Every single student did get a gift card just for participating, because we believe in showing students that hard work pays. We believe in that. And we believe that students should be able to manage money and earn money as much as possible. So with that being said, are we ready? Let me just make sure I have it right before I mess it up. I don't want to mess it up.
Don't pull us
Okay, I know.
It's a five-way tie.
So our third place Ed Talk winner for 2021 is Ariel Dukey. Congratulations. I'm a hugger. I'm a hugger. Ariel and I are both vaccinated. Feels good. Feels great to be vaccinated. That's all I'm going to say. It feels great. Our Ed Talk of the Year runner-up is Aisha Siddiqa. Congratulations. I'm very proud of you. Are you taking a picture? There's a camera right there. Way in the back. Thank you. Okay. And the Best Ed Talk of 2021 award goes to Chimdindu Ejidike. Congratulations. I'm going to get this back up. So, again, I just want to remind you all we have some QR codes around for our digital photo booth. Please participate. It's super fun. I want to thank our sponsors one more time. United Way Palm Beach County, who is one of our longstanding funders, PNC Bank, Office Depot, Lynch & Associates, and Hedrick Brothers Construction. You guys have really helped us knock this event out of the park, and we appreciate you. And with that, we're going to bring Alex Price back on to send us home. Thank you. Yep, it works.
Send us home. I don't want to go home.
Oh, don't have to.
Keeps getting better. But there's probably some studying to do from some people here, so we better. Our goal remains. Our goal is to take the best and brightest students and to help them become more competitive, to get better scholarships, to incur less debt when applying to college. Tonight we are celebrating. Boy, are we celebrating. Our 13 graduates and their accomplishments, 100% accepted to four-year universities, 85% to top-tier universities, 40% so far and counting full-ride scholarships. If you believe, and I know you do, if you believe in our equity and education mission and this model, and boy, does it work. Does this formula work? Oh, and if you care to help Path to College and this cause, and I know you do, well, I'm excited to share with you the annual Big Give for Path to College online giving campaign, which is now live. Now, next year, we're committed to bringing in 30 more students into this very highly sought after academic fellowship program. These students receive one-on-one mentoring, weekly SAT prep, career development, life skills, a challenging hands-on curriculum project. Now, they need support. Please support the big give for Path to College today to ensure that all hard-working students in this community have a clear and have a direct path to academic success in college. Let's be the nation's great equalizer. Let's do it. Let's do it. You know, this organization has been doing it, and we at Office Depot got involved back years ago, and to watch the progression. Can you imagine the next 3 years? I think about the last 3 years. Can you imagine the next 3 years? But we have an opportunity here, but also especially our networks, the folks that we influence in our organizations and in our communities to go back and let's be the driving force behind this campaign. Let's mentor or go find mentors, people that you know and trust and that could invest in a child's life. Let's be, this is the group that leads it, but we need to have a much bigger group, and so that all starts tonight. So please, if you can, go to pathtocollege.org/donate and share that online and share that with everyone that you know. And really, I'm so thankful for Susie and Levine and so many of my colleagues who have stepped up now for years, just pouring into these youth, and look at the return, Oh my goodness. And so please be generous, and even more than that, go be just a relentless advocate for this organization. And let's meet back here in 1 year for EdFest 2020. This was a heck of a night, wasn't it? 2020, no, let's not talk about 2020. 2020 needs to be erased from our minds, and I was doing so well. Let's all meet back here again to celebrate even more lives change and more futures and trajectories going in amazing directions in 2022. Thank you so much. 2020.
Thank you, everybody. Please grab more food, more wine, lemonade, waters, mingle. We have pictures we'd love to take with our students, board. Thank you, Seth.